Shanti and Zoolander, take one, action.
Yo, what do they call me? They call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, they call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I look good on camera. You know I look good on camera. Yo, what's up? It's your homie, Devin Zoolander, coming all the way live from where? Rec Philly. That means I'm in Philadelphia, my hometown. And I'm so happy because with me today, I have a woman who is extremely talented, a fellow Philadelphia native, someone that is the co-host of a podcast, a very successful podcast called Around the Way Curls with her main curl friend, Antoinette. Shout out to Antoinette, even though I don't know how I feel about that whole whiz take, but she is amazing. And without any further ado, I give you Shanti.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
those kind words.
Yeah. No problem, sister. No problem. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I just sat and watched you set everything up, watched you get this together. So I'm good. It's been a good day. After this, I'm gonna go see Bilal perform. So yeah. I'm excited.
I did see you post about that on the story. So yeah, that's really cool that they're doing this.
You like Bilal? You know Bilal? Are you familiar with Bilal?
Yeah. I'm familiar with him. I won't act like I know every single song, but I definitely know Bilal. And I think what's really cool about Bilal is that even if people don't know his specific songs, his voice has been heard on so many records, from Jay-Z to Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. So you can just keep going. And I just know, just on To Pimp a Butterfly, for example, Bilal was all over that. And so I have a lot of appreciation for him, and for him being from Philly and being that soulful, being part of the Soul Aquarians and everything. He's everything.
He's everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad that you recognize that. See, I like to judge people by their music choices, so I'm going to figure out where you fall.
Okay.
D'Angelo.
Oh, I love D'Angelo.
Voodoo or Brown Sugar?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, okay. I might go with me and those dreaming eyes. All right, I'm a say Brown Sugar, but I feel like I'm gonna go with Brown Sugar. But Voodoo.
And now I'm judging you.
Okay. So you're more of a Voodoo person.
Yes.
I like both albums.
Both albums are good.
But you're more of a...
But I think Voodoo is a masterpiece.
Okay.
I think yes, I think it's a masterpiece.
What is it about it that makes you think that?
I just think that the energy, the writing, the composition is masterful. It feels like it comes from a more evolved artist and a more it comes from a different place where I feel like Brown Sugar was like a bop. It was like I'm getting my foot in the door. I'm new to this, and then he was like, no, I'm in this bitch, and I'm doing the thing, and I'm about to flip it over. And I feel like Voodoo was it's Brown Sugar's a classic. But Voodoo is, in terms of the musicality of it, I feel like is a far more interesting album to me. But it depends on if you like a bop. That's the Internet's in my argument. If you want a bop or you want something that's like, oh, this is an experience here. It's going to take you someplace.
So I thank you for that. I like that explanation. So let me just say, I love both albums, but I think that if I listen to them both back to back, and I would have a more definitive opinion. Because
you got to do that on your way drive back home. You got to listen to both.
No, because Voodoo feels more like a jam session. And that is it's still organized, but it feels like Brown Sugar is more like we're trying to sell something, and Voodoo is more like I'm a fly on the wall while they're making something, which it came out really good. But I feel like Brown Sugar was more of a polished. This is what we can.
Yeah, it was a more mainstream album.
Yes.
It feels more mainstream.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean, for me, that doesn't
mean
often
better.
Means it's a better, like, and we can go on a huge tangent, like Kendrick Lamar, his newest album doesn't feel mainstream.
No, not
at all.
At all.
But it doesn't take it in terms of the artistry, in terms of the significance of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is just like, and I can't listen to that album. I don't think like that's an album that I'll ever listen through from beginning to end again. But that doesn't take away the how incredible it was.
Yeah, it was incredible because like I think about a song like We Cried Together, and that's not a song that you can just listen to on repeat because it's a lot of toxicity. It's a lot of, but I think what people miss about that song is that there's a voice, presumably either his wife Whitney or his therapist, a female voice that says at the beginning of the track, "This is how the world sounds," and then at the end of the track it says, "Stop dancing around the issue," which I think plays into the steppers thing. So I think what happens there is that if you don't, I'm not saying you have to pay attention to it, but I think if you miss those two parts that are really subtle, then it just kind of sounds like, all right, all y'all did was watch Poetic Justice, and you watch the scene with Pac and Janet, and it's just arguing. We see this all the time on Jerry Springer or whatever. But it's dope, though.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. I like having these kind of talks. Like that's what happens when you and a fellow potter. It's like it's so amazing. So you have a celebrity crush on Larry David.
I do.
Well, when did that start, and what is it about him?
Larry David is a Cancer, by the way.
Okay,
so
cool.
you should feel I don't know. You should
empowered.
feel empowered by that. You should feel like, I feel like Larry David. First of all, I like his neuroses.
Mm-hmm.
I like how candid and how I just like his point of view, how he presents. I like the shit that he talks about, what he thinks about. And of course, it's the character, right? The character that he plays on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah. I don't know who Larry David is. He does have a documentary coming out about his life, which I'm excited to watch. Yeah. But I guess I have more of a crush on the Larry David character in Curb Your Enthusiasm. But I think he's a swaggy ass Jewish guy. I think he's brilliant. I think he has swag. I listen, I would go out on a date and I think you would be entertained. I think he would take care of you. I think the conversation would be great. I think he is flirtatious in a way that is intriguing. I fuck with him.
Okay.
I do.
Wow. Well, that's definitely.
Everybody is appalled, but some people who get it are like, yeah, of course, they get it.
No, I get what you're saying, and to me, I just remember when he went on SNL and he did his impersonation of Bernie Sanders, and I think he did a lot to help humanize Bernie Sanders, because when he was running, somebody said that Bernie always looks like he's at the airport and he's running late for his plane, like he just always looks like haggard like that, like haggardly, like so yeah. But no, Larry is definitely on point, and I appreciate his humor, and I could see how that kind of presentation. That presentation that he has and the way he does it, and it's also, I think, that confidence that I know the way I look, I know what you might think about people.
Confidence, that's what it is. There's a confidence. There's something. He is, of course, his character is that he's stricken by insecurity, right? Like, but there's also this confidence of like, I don't give a fuck. That is like, oh, I love that. Right. I'm inspired by it.
Definitely. Well, wow, this is really cool. I'm glad that you answered that question, because when I send it to you, because I was just thinking about that, and I don't even know. I mean, when it comes to celebrity crushes, for me, I would. That's a good question.
Now you're just asking these people this, and you haven't reflected.
I haven't really reflected on it too much. I would say so. I'll just throw out a name. I'll say that I love Brandy Norwood so much. Like, I think
Brandy.
Yes. I just say, like, I mean, I know who I'm talking to. I forgot who I was talking to, but you know, for any white people out there, it's like Brandy, like the drink, you know what I'm saying? Like the liquor. But yeah, I love Brandy a lot, like everything. And I actually got into a heated conversation with a friend of mine, because we were talking about Brandy, and unfortunately it's like Pac and Biggie, it's Jay and Nas. So if I say Brandy, somebody's gonna say Monica. So we had a conversation, and let me say, I'm not a trained singer or anything like that. I think, and we were talking about Jasmine earlier, who we'll touch on later, but what I love about Brandy is that I love, first of all, she just really made the 90s really, really cool. And I just feel like from Thea to Moesha to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Double Platinum.
She did? I forgot about that.
Yeah,
wow.
I didn't really like that movie too much, though, because to me, I felt like they kept on killing the black people, and it just felt like, all right, it's getting a little excessive now. Like, one black person dies, that's the quota. That's cool. But when they just kept killing dudes, it's just like, damn, dog, why you got to hit him with the shovel? He got a wife and kids, too.
Right.
So, yeah, but Brandy, I love her a lot, and I loved her on The Game. I liked her on Queens. Only thing I think is that I feel like she ain't really need to go back at Jack Harlow. I feel like that was like...
So explain what somebody Jack Harlow didn't know that Brandy was Ray J's sister.
It was that, but it was also when they played Angel in Disguise, he didn't even know that was Brandy. So it was the combination, and he's doing a black art form, so it's one of those things. So I understand.
Word.
Right. So you should know this, even if you are just 24 years old, you should know Brandy. But he didn't. He's from Kentucky, whatever.
But I also think I don't know how mainstream Brandy is.
Right.
Like for black folks, even for black folks, there's this niche of people that I see that you're a part of that ride or die for Brandy in a way that I don't know. I don't feel like she's mainstream. I'm not surprised that Jack didn't know who she was, because again, she wasn't her mainstream impact. For how many people were watching Moesha? How many white people were watching Moesha?
You're right. So when you say niche, I feel you, because black people during that era will always know.
Of course.
But him as a white guy from Kentucky that is about 10, 12 years younger than us.
He's not going to know who that. And he only knows Ray J probably because of his closeness to Kim Kardashian.
Right.
So like, yeah, I'm not surprised by that. And
yeah,
I guess that's my take on the Jack Harlow thing. But I love that Brandy is your crush. Shout out to Brandy.
Oh yeah.
I loved watching Brandy during the what's it called? The battle. What do they call it?
The verses.
The verses.
Yes.
Because you could see how astrologically, I know I'm taking back to astrology, but the difference between them was so clear, because Brandy's is an Aquarius, I think, and they're known to be very quirky and like offbeat and like
she was in her own world.
She was in her own world. Her outfit was all like, and I was like, this is amazing. And then you have Monica, who's like obviously taking this very seriously. She got on her sex kitten outfit. Yeah, you know, she's very like. It was just I loved watching Brandy just be her whole quirky. She's quirky. She's a strange bird, and I love that.
now let me ask you something, because as a man that is trying to understand women better, I know that sometimes, I know one of the things from listening to a lot of women speak, like you don't like when men tell you to smile, why aren't you smiling, that kind of thing. The reason why I bring this up is because I think about the juxtaposition of Brandy, who a lot of people perceive to be bubbly and happy, because we know they have this feud history where they actually physically got into a confrontation. It wasn't just the boys' mind. It's like, no, they was really at each other's necks.
See, you giving me the tea.
Right. But when you see Monica has more of a, and for all the women out there, I don't say this word regularly, but she has more of an, I'll say resting bitch face. So it's like it's more like that. And I feel like when they're still together, but then again, I'm biased towards Brandy. So sometimes when you're biased for one person, then you can read someone else as a little different. All right, to bring this into a question that you can actually answer, because I'm babbling right now. I would say, all right, from so in trying to, I guess it's not really a question. I guess what I really want to know for you, do people ever misread you? Because I see who I see on the podcast when I watch you and listen to you, and I see who's in front of me right now, but you might not always be in the bubbly, super outgoing type of mood. So do you feel like people ever misread you, who you are in totality, based on whatever facial expression they see that day?
I don't think so. Again, I don't think I have the status yet in the world for people to approach me in a way that, you know, I don't feel like people approach me or have access in that way. That's a great question, though. I don't know.
Right.
In my encounters thus far with my friends, I guess the only thing would be that people may think that I don't know. To be completely honest, I don't know.
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair. Well,
I haven't experienced that yet. Where people are like, I thought you were going to be
this or that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair, because I was just thinking about how maybe, like, because I also think about the verses between Keisha Cole and Ashanti, and they had a similar dynamic where one is, the Ashanti in this case was more like the Brandy, where she's more happy and everything, and the other one, Keisha, and kind of like that. And it's kind of like, I feel like sometimes not just women. I mean, we can bring all different kinds of people in here, but I feel like sometimes with women, we want women to look a certain way to make us feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And if they're not presenting in that way, then it could be like, oh, what's wrong with her, or something like that. So that's why I was just using that as an example, because I could see that showing up in the way we view people. Because I even think about like being at the club, and the girl's actually bubbly and extra bubbly and friendly. It's like, all right, yeah, I might try to talk with her. I mean, maybe I don't have a chance, but I can at least say something to her. Where the one is more like, like that.
It's body energy is real. Yeah. It's real, and it's not for anybody else to tell you how you should or shouldn't present. But to say that body, the way people hold their body doesn't communicate something, I think is not realistic.
On the last podcast, most recent one that you recorded, I listened to you talk about how you found yourself questioning yourself more, and but the way you present it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't make it seem like it was such a bad thing that you were questioning yourself or not trusting yourself, because I think that's normally connected to some type of malfunction, like why is Shanti second guessing herself? But the way you said it seemed, I don't want to call it positive, but it just seemed like it's something that's happened, but it wasn't something that you looked at as a negative. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think I've just come to a place in my life where I don't believe every thought that comes into my head. And so there's, when I observe my thoughts, they're often very polarized, where it's like, I'm making this terrible mistake, or, everything's going to be completely fine. I'm doing the right thing. And I think I'm noticing when I am leaning towards, or I'm being affected, or I'm making decisions, or I'm relating with people from any of those really polarized places, that I can't necessarily trust that I think that the truth is somewhere in the middle, and trying to detach from listening to every thought that comes into my head that's very like extreme, because it's often just not true. Yeah. And you find yourself in this weird spiral, and I'm just trying. I don't like the emotional upheavals that come from like believing every thought that comes into my head.
Right. Well, thank you. Because,
so I don't trust myself.
Yeah. No, and I think that that's a very fair point, because I definitely do. I guess you could call it it's like personal inventory or emotional inventory on what kind of thoughts are coming into my head. And I think about the term shame, and I think about the scholar Brene Brown, and I think about how a lot of times people are really, really going through it, and just because they're smiling, that doesn't mean that they're not hurting on the inside. And when you talk about thoughts, I think that some of us think that your brains work as if your brain is the bouncer, and anytime a thought that is impure, or a thought that is inappropriate, or a thought that just really doesn't align with who you want to be tries to get in to your consciousness, that, oh, well, yeah, you can't get in here. No, but those kind of thoughts come in all the time.
Yeah, no, your brain is just doing its functions. It's just computing, is just, analyzing the thoughts that come into your head. But I think it's the work of not identifying with all of those thoughts that come in your head, because your brain will be like, jump off that bridge.
Yeah.
And then you have to be like, that's not me. That's not me. I'm not crazy because I even had that thought. Right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, just to use that example, I know every time I don't really like heights, and every time I'm on a bridge or if I'm walking, when I think about jumping, it's not that I don't want to die. I don't want to no longer be here. But the thought is like, man, if I did jump, would I actually survive? Like, it's just a natural thing that I think. And sometimes I'm like, all right, well, that's enough. All right, let me just go ahead.
Yeah, you're like, I can't trust this.
Right.
I can't trust this.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for elaborating on that, because I like when you said that, and I really appreciate I love the sisterhood. I love how y'all can go at each other. I love how you and Antoinette can really challenge each other, but it's never really combative. I'm sure you've had issues maybe on the podcast or certainly off the podcast where you're not always seeing eye to eye. But what I really like about your dynamic is that it's always coming back to a place of sisterhood. And even if we vehemently disagree on something like The Wiz or something like that, like, yo, we still sisters. So I dig that about y'all.
Yeah, no, it's been she's definitely in my life for all the reasons, and she's like a partner in a lot of ways, she's like a business partner. But like, there's this relationship that we have that I think is always deepening, and I'm always learning about myself through her, and I hope vice versa. But yeah, we out here, we're doing hard things together. When you do hard things together, you're bound to have conflicts or upsets or make and move differently, and then you have to contend with those differences, and we try to do it the best that we can.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think it's working. I'm glad that whatever the business challenge that came up while y'all were on your break and everything, I'm glad that it seems to be resolved for the moment.
Yeah, for the moment. Amen. Hallelujah. From out of your mouth to God's ears.
Right. So, one thing I want to touch on is, like I said already off camera, and I'll say it again, that I'm a really big fan of Jasmine Sullivan. And what I really like about her is that naturally, with her being from Philly, I wanted her to win already. But then I love her so much that even if she wasn't from Philly, I would still be messing with her because her music is that good, and just vocally, texture, her writing. Like Antoinette one time just really did I forgot, it was a clip she shared, or maybe Around the Way Curl shared it, but it was some clip where she was talking about, or maybe she was on the See the Thing Is podcast, but she was just talking about no, I think it was after Jasmine, she won a Grammy. Right. And I think in all of the celebration, she was talking about how much Jasmine deserves everything that she got from, because to me, like, her songwriting is just so on point. So anyway, that brings me to Hotels, which I thought was a very, very, it was a very revealing piece of art. And as a man that's listening, and you hear the one tale, it's like, you gotta fuck your husband or something like that, or I hear the tale that Ari Lennox did where she was just talking about, it spoke to me, like on some Love Jones type shit. That was really, really cool. And that brings me to Shantis Tale, which was recorded by you, and you talk about falling in love with someone that was fun, and but not serious, and that you felt used, and that you felt like he only wanted to embrace the fun, the easy parts of you, but he didn't want to embrace all of you. So can you just give a little bit of background on what was the inspiration behind that tale?
The inspiration behind that tale was I was young. I mean, I'm a mother, so I have a sense of responsibility that is great. I have a human that I'm responsible for and who's connected to me until the wheels fall off. So navigating relationships with that, with her as an addition, has always been tricky. And so at that time of my life, I was, she was young, and I was in a relationship, and, you know, it just didn't feel like he was ever going to be able to really embrace me entirely. And aside from just being a lover and a friend, but like also this part of me that's a mother and responsible for a household.
And we're back. Devin Zoolander sitting here with the one and only Shanti.
Yes.
Now, your last name, is it pronounced Mayers or?
Yes.
Okay. Because in my head I was like Myers, but I was like,
that would be Myers.
Yeah, or Eyer.
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's what I was thinking.
I appreciate the correct pronunciation.
Right,
yes.
and it's funny because you know what's funny about y'all? I mean, it's not funny, but like, I had the hardest time trying to find out your last names because you just be like, because I be searching on Facebook and stuff, be like, Antoinette, around the way curls, because everything's like Antoinette H or Antoinette whatever. It's like all right, what the hell? And then I found out what it was. Like, oh, okay, I know who you are now.
Damn, you look like the police now.
I mean, no,
find out you were the CIA.
No, it's just, you searching for LinkedIn. You just searching because I don't know y'all like that. So it's just like I'm trying to find whatever I can that will make me a more informed interviewer than just being like, yo, y'all got around the way curls, so y'all from around the way, and y'all got curly hair. That's tight. I wanted to have more to offer than just like, wow,
research.
Yeah. So because of the cameras, I had to briefly interrupt you, but I would like you. I think you were in the process of finishing up.
I was just in a relationship that didn't feel like it was going to grow into anything. It was just fun. And after a while, it became painful. Yeah. Because it's like you reveal to this person, I want it to be more, and the other person feels like they're just kind of stringing you along, or they are just have to be honest and say, listen, I'm not built for that. So we had to go our separate ways. It was a good learning. I don't regret it. The fun was fun, but
right. That's all it was. Right. No, I really appreciate that too, and I think that we live in a world, if we're going off of our grandparents and how long they stayed together, or maybe if we are fortunate to have a mother and father that are still together and have stood the test of time, that I think a lot of the old thinking says, hey, you just see it through. A good man is hard to find. A good woman is hard to find. And it's almost like people that are actually miserable themselves within a union are trying to preach to you about what you should be doing to find happiness. And that's why I felt like what Jasmine did. But it's one thing, if Jasmine wouldn't have had any tales and she just would have told her story, it's one thing. But the fact that she brought in so many women that she loves and respects, and she gave you all the platform to be able to talk about your perspective, whether it's being addicted to somebody just because the sex is good, or because someone pays money, which I have to say that tale that comes on, and then with her and Anderson Paak, honest in my like because her and Anderson her and Anderson Paak, man, they don't understand, because I go back with them on Ventura when she did Good Hills, and then because Anderson comes on for it, and it's like and she just starts singing, and she's just like magic. But anyway, I love that song Price Tags so much, and I love the way that she set it up. But anyway, to bring this to a close, I thought that was really good. Yes. How she organized it.
Brilliant. She's brilliant.
Yeah, her creative mind, and it's one thing, because to me, I think I remember My Foolish Heart. My Foolish Heart was my Lions.
I love that song.
Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Bust the windows out your car. Like she had some bops, holding you circles. Right. She got the bops. But then when she came out with Mascara and Let It Burn, I was like, oh no. This is next level Jasmine.
She's evolving, and I think everybody's seen it, and everybody who's loved her and has been watching this progression, has been waiting for everyone else to see it and recognize it. And now she's getting the recognition, so everybody's just like, "Oh, this is amazing!"
Absolutely, I just really love what she did on that project, because to me, that is somebody that has complete autonomy over, this is my audience. I can curse and still sing with Stevie Wonder. What are you talking about here? I could talk about sex and still be this vocal Bible mastermind type person that can sing with anybody. Oh, and I gotta say, man, On It with Ari Lennox, like she killed.
So funny.
It was just so good to listen to it. And I think with her, she has like this perfect marriage of, because it's almost like, it's really not fair that she can sing like that, but she can flow like that. So now it's kind of like, it's like listening to someone that has this killer voice, but their cadences and stuff is like their rap, because her writing is very hip hop, and I like that because
the musicality of it all. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's a beast.
She really is,
and she's a real artist. I love that. I love the time that she takes off so that she can like process and figure out what she wants to do next, because we aren't machines.
Yeah, like
she takes her time, and she is protective about the time that she needs to take in her process. She feels pressure like the rest of us, but she's like, if I don't got it, I ain't got it. Y'all gonna have to wait.
Right. And
who knows when you gonna see another one.
Right. And to build on what you're saying, I noticed that because everybody else, I think they expect you to look a certain way when you achieve something. So she gets a Grammy, she's supposed to be smiling and acting all like this and stuff, but she was like, no, I was going through some stuff. Like, I didn't even really want to be there. Like, I didn't even feel like my best self, like as I'm watching myself on camera. And it reminds me of a conversation that Antoinette was having about when you asked her to grade your performance at the Roots picnic, and she said, I give us a B. And she was talking about, and she started to speak on body dysmorphia, and she was really just talking about why she just didn't feel like it was the best, but she still is not going to say it was terrible. She just isn't willing to give it an A. And I like that y'all can do that, because you first got at her a little bit, oh, that's the energy you have. Like I thought it was, but she's like, yeah, but I gotta tell you what was going on with me, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So yeah. So totally. Back to Jasmine, just like Antoinette, I think it's really interesting how in the moment of your life that everybody else wants you to be like, aren't you happy about this? Aren't you happy? It's like, I am happy, but I'm still a human being. I'm going through real life shit.
That's how it is. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
That's how it always is.
Definitely. One thing, oh man, I wrote down different points from the episode. Okay, you know what I want to talk about? So before we get into the Sable Collective, what I would like to talk about is I saw you do a live video, I think it was last week, and you were with, is that your business partner?
She works with Sable. She's a buyer for Sable.
She's a buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw that you were doing a live, and what I really appreciated is when you were talking about how everybody sells shea butter, but you were talking about how if you have the kind of packaging that doesn't have that wax seal on it, then what's going to happen is that the label's going to get smudged. And then when I try to tell somebody, oh, here are the ingredients in this shea butter right here, you can no longer read it. And you talked about how off-putting that is and why people need to think about this stuff. And it also made me think about recently I put some beard oil in my beard before I came here, but I realized that the top that I had, it was just a screw off top. So it's kind of like you got to do all like that, and now it's all over the floor because I forget. Whereas if you had more of the squirt thing like that, it's more in moderation. So I guess I'm bringing all this up to say that while I think about what you often say, what you and Antoinette say about freeing yourself, like Black people, free yourselves from, like in The Wiz, or free yourselves from thinking. What I want you to speak on a little bit is how, even though I know y'all both are supportive of Black businesses, and with Sable Collective, you want to continue to collaborate with Black entrepreneurs who are doing some wonderful things, I want you to also speak about how just because a person is Black, that doesn't mean that we're not allowed to speak on if something is unprofessional, if packaging is, like you said, doesn't have the wax seal. I want to talk about how that is for you as far as, okay, I want to support these black businesses. However, black businesses should also be open to constructive criticism about ways to improve.
Yeah, I think that I'm in a special spot because I think that the education, some people just don't know. If you've never done business before, you're going to be making L's left and right.
Yes.
I still make major L's left and right. It's a never-ending story. So I don't think I'm expecting businesses to be perfect, but there are just some basic things that we all need to make sure that we've covered, right? And like aesthetics is very important for retail. So you kind of have to know the industry that you're in, and you have to know the basics of the packaging, and you want to present your product the best way possible. But I'm not one to disparage. Again, I've had business come in that didn't have the right packages, but I've been with her and I rocked with her, and I've been watching her progression, and she's had to learn the hard way of like, I'm not getting these sales, or people are complaining, or I'm ending up, it's costing me more money because I'm not getting the proper packaging, yada, yada, yada. And it's just been an evolution. It's just been a growth process. Again, Black people don't have oftentimes the leverage of having mentors or having a business that's passed down to them from their family, or having the capital to like buy the more expensive packaging. So there is a lag behind it.
Right.
And then, it's just a business acumen that we're all like learning. We're all learning. So we're behind in some ways. So there's a lot of grace that I want to offer people. And again, as you know, when you're starting something that you never done before, you're learning as you go. So it's just a constant process. But if you want to be in the Sable Collective, I'm trying to give you the layup to like get in. These are the things that I expect.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you provide those opportunities through your business, and I really appreciate that, because I think Black women's empowerment is a real thing, but I think it's also a buzzword. I'm personally, and you can see from Antoinette, like I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna let whack shit slide. Like if your shit is whack, if your movie's whack, if your music is whack, if your brand is whack, I'm gonna say it's whack, because why can't I? Just because you're Black doesn't mean, I guess there's like, you have to know the company that you're in, and you can't necessarily, I'm not going to say something is whack. Right, you wouldn't say it that way.
You're whack, that because you're Black, your shit is whack. That's not what I'm saying. Like Queen and Slim, for example, I did not like that movie, and everybody was hype about it. It was a great disappointment. Yeah. And just because there was hype about it, just because Lena Waithe wrote it, just because Melina, I can't say her last name, did it. No, it was whack.
Right. Common has a line, if I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. Like, so something so now you just sparked something else in my mind, because I wrote down y'all should collaborate, but I was like, why did I write that down? And it's because on the last episode, at some point in one of the conversations, Antoinette said, somebody said something about y'all should collaborate. But what I want to get into is this idea that you're big on energy. You're big. You understand astrology. You understand.
I don't, but
okay. Well, for this, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. So for this, you do understand astrology. So I say all this to say that I think another thing that I see in the Black community is that there is this. It's almost like when you watch a show back in the day and you see that one person that's constantly trying to fix up two people together. There's Devin, there's Shanti. Hey, y'all should do like this. And I feel like what that does, though, is just if we only say, well, you're Black and you do this, and I'm Black and I do this, I feel like sometimes people just try to put people together, and y'all should collaborate has to come from a place of you see something very, very specific about you and your niche and me and mine that we should collaborate. So how do you feel about people that sometimes to give you an example, all right, here we go. So like, I'm gonna finish the question. But like, back if we were at my studio back in Pittsburgh, then I have this sound effect that I have on that machine that does the podcast thing, where it says, "Stop trying to make fetch work," like from Mean Girls. So it's kind of like when someone is constantly trying to make something work, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole or something like that. So to sum this up, how do you feel about that? Y'all should collaborate, or this idea that black people, black women, black men need to collaborate just because they fit that bare minimum identity similarity?
No, I don't think it works. I don't think it works. I think especially in the podcasting world, you're often, and it's not based on color, but you're often incentivized to collaborate and be on other people's podcasts because you share your followers, and that's how you kind of grow your listens. That's a beautiful strategy. But if our actual values and like our actual podcasts don't mix, then it's flat. I don't like just hollow epithets. Is that what the word is? Is that what the word is? Epithets? Child.
It works. Hey.
I don't. Yeah. It just feels like hollow to me.
I got
you. And then you can feel it, and then it's not gonna. The audience can feel it as well. They can feel that it's flat. Yeah. Like people, I think, especially in the podcast world, people are smarter than we give them credit for. An audience can feel when something isn't right.
Yeah.
And I don't want to move, and I don't want to make business decisions for Around the Way Curls or the Sable Collective on the grounds of quote unquote blackness. I don't know what that means in the first place. I love, for example, walking into a business. The music is nice. The decorum is on point. The food's delicious. The service is good. And I'm like, yo, I love this business. And then they say, oh yeah, and it's black owned. That's just the cream on the crop. I'm like, that's amazing. But I'm not, just because it's black owned and you walk in there and everything's shit, that you, that's okay. It's not. It should be the cherry on top, but it's not the meat and the potatoes of like branding or business or relationships for that matter, because what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
he's black, I'm black.
Right.
Like there's things that's shared, but like,
and you know what's funny? That just makes me think about how it makes me think about almost like I think so I've been trying to unpack the term of the white gaze, because one of the things that I remember somebody said to me when I looked at the optics of two black men at the Oscars, one black man slaps the other black man in front. I did say in front of a bunch of white people. I didn't say it to say that I care so much about what white people think and that we should behave differently in public in front of them than we do. What I'm saying is that, to me, I don't think they deserve to be privy to us getting our people together like that. Because to me, if somebody wants to discipline their child or something in a supermarket, I understand. I'm not a parent, so you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes the kids are out of control, but like, to me, that wasn't a parent and a child. That was two grown men. And I just felt like, even though I supported Will feeling the way he felt about defending his wife, I felt like the way he went about it, it didn't really advance the conversation too much about alopecia. It just created this sensationalized moment that now whenever we see you, we're going to think about that. Kind of like how Gerard Carmichael was recently talking about how, as great as Dave Chappelle is in the comedy world, he does, and I love Dave Chappelle, but he has to reconcile with the fact, he has to reckon with the fact that when somebody types in your name, the first thing they're going to see is something that's transphobic. That's going to be what it is, whether that you want that to be your brand or not. But when you keep on talking about this stuff over and over and you're making jokes, then you got to know that that's always going to be associated with you. So I got off on a tee. How did I get there? All right. So, sorry, I don't know, but anyway, I think what happened Let's see. So, oh my gosh.
We got talking about blackness.
Yes, we were talking about blackness, and we were talking about just, I think
the white gaze.
The white gaze. I think the reason why I brought that up is because I think some people feel like black people always need to, so it's weird because I might be contradicting myself on it. They feel like black people need to play nice and always need to work together, because sometimes I think people think that we're back in like slavery times and it's like we all got to be like that. But I think if we zoom out of what our history is and we look at where we are today, and we look at the fact that there is a Sable Collective, that there is an Around the Way Curls, that there is a Roots Picnic, and there are many opportunities, we don't have to be so thirsty to necessarily collaborate with the very next black person that we see, because then what is the meaning of the collaboration if all we're doing kind of like a serial dater or something like that, which is nothing wrong with it if that's where you are in life, maybe me, but like it's like it needs to count for something. I think sometimes we lower, we it's almost like we infantilize black people by saying like, oh, well, we have to work here together just because we're black, because within the black community we're different types of people and we should be able to explore it. All right, that's enough.
I agree, but nepotism is real and it's important. If I have a platform, I'm not going to just collaborate with any random person, but all the niggas that I know, you coming with me. Right. It's like
LeBron.
Yeah, like nepotism is what is the foundation of this whole country. It's like, right. Oh, you got this, and now I'm gonna bring in my people to get this. I support that 100%. And all the opportunities that Around the Way Curls has gotten is because somebody's been like, yo, I'm gonna put you on. Like, come on. And I think that's very important. I hope that's not what's being read, but to do it just randomly, and on the strength of like, oh, I don't know, just random, or like you also allowing subpar, you having no expectations just because somebody is black, or you giving grace to things, right, just because they're black. I don't believe it. But if you on, right, they coming with me. My people coming with me.
I feel that, and that kind of reminds me of the term identity politics, and I think about how Barack couldn't say I'm with black and that be a really viable political slogan. He couldn't say, he had to say yes we can, or whatever the other one was that he had. Hillary Clinton, as a privileged white woman, can be like, I'm with her, and she can play into that, because that kind of makes me think about back when white women were walking around with the pink with the pink hats, and it's just kind of like, and then I'm listening to black women, and the more black women I was watching, it's like, yeah, we didn't really sign off on that. Like we like intersectionality, we like the fact that you're doing that, but we don't want to wear the pink hats, because when you're talking about feminism, your idea is just talking about reproductive rights or something like that, which is important, clearly, with everybody trying to take away the right for women to get abortions. But it's just like, with black women, you got to understand that identity is different, and we're not only competing against white men, we're competing against white women, black men, different kind of things. And then when people are queer, and it just keeps going. So when they were trying to do that, it's just kind of like, so just anyway, somehow this makes sense. But anyway, I guess I was bringing up Hillary because identity politics, and sometimes just because we both y'all black women, that's cool, but we all have businesses to run, and we all worked hard to get to where we are. And if it makes sense, then let's make
rock out.
But if it doesn't, then you gotta know there's a reason why you're talking to herself in your DMs. Anyway, I feel I've shared too much. All right, but to keep it moving, I would like to know from you, what are some words of wisdom that you say to yourself whenever times are tough?
I am not listening to the thought. I am not the thoughts in my head.
Right.
I am not the thoughts in my head. And I rest, and I give myself space to decompress and to calm down. Because making decisions when you're stressed, or you're sad, or you're angry, or you're fearful.
But anyway,
you can't move from those places. You shouldn't move from those places. So you have to give yourself the time to calm down, which is often contradicting the pace of the world. But you have to protect that. and trust that like, oh, this moment will pass. I'm going to calm myself down. Then I can move forward. But I think we feel like we have to make decisions when it doesn't feel right or when we don't know the answer.
So what you just said, that makes me think about the calmness that you need to have if you're driving in Philadelphia. Because
Philly is not that bad.
Yo.
I don't know.
So I'm a Uber driver out there in Pittsburgh. I just started, and it gets stupid shit happens out there too. But today I feel like I almost got T-boned like 20 times, because especially on Broad Street during rush hour.
You gotta get it together now.
Yeah, because niggas is just doing anything.
It's a different pace in Philly. Have you driven in New York? Because that's a third world country driving in New York.
I did briefly, but it wasn't extensive enough. I don't have enough experience.
Don't come here shaming Philly and talking shit about Philly now. You just kind of throw in a jab about Philly, and I won't have it. Okay.
No, I feel you. No, I just mean because it's weird, because I actually got my license in Pittsburgh. I moved to Pittsburgh when I was 23. Now I'm about to be 36 next month, and it's just really like a shock factor, because to me, the reason why I brought up Philly drivers is because I just listened to what you say about making decisions based off of emotion, like that. And I'm thinking about what that's like when you feel the pressure. Because sometimes I'll be driving in Philly, and like the hard thing is like when you get on the expressway and you be looking, and you might be used to seeing like bright white lines, and you get there, and it's like, wait a minute, is this one lane? Yeah, he's moving fast. He said, hey, this is my lane. Shut the fuck up. It's just like that. Oh man, it's like what's funny though, because I have some funny videos like on my YouTube channel about road rage and stuff, because it's an interesting place when you're a passive aggressive nerd that feels very strongly about you wronged me and I'm going to let you know about it, but then realizing I'm 180 pounds and I don't have a lot of muscle mass, and if this ever got physical, I would be at a disadvantage. So it's kind of like, hey man, you can't do that shit. And then they come over to you like,
you gotta pipe down.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, man?
I was tripping. My bad.
My girl left me.
Yeah,
my dog.
Bad. Just got my license.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got to learn. I'm sorry, officer. Like Martin was saying, run till that. But anyway, all right. To keep it moving, because they're not kicking us out right away. So let's see a couple more things. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast that one of my friends did a while ago, and she talked about how she was on a date with a black man, and she asked him what is his favorite black movie. I feel like she was just doing that kind of like Antoinette talking about some, oh yeah, if I don't really like you like that, I'll just keep paying for it myself because I don't want you to feel like you have any power over me. So I think she didn't really like the dude, so she was just like giving him a question like, so what's your favorite black movie? And this nigga said, Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. And she said, and just like you say you're judging somebody based off, do you like Voodoo or you like Brown Sugar? When he said Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, she was like,
Wow. That's crazy.
It is. So I just wanted to know for you, because we're talking about freeing ourselves. Antoinette talks about how she her controversial opinion about The Wiz. The Wiz is mid. So what is one of those movies or albums or anything that black people swear by, but you're just kind of like, I'm still black, but I don't fuck with that?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I had to think about that. Again, I would say Queen and Slim.
Okay, Queen and Slim.
I won't be that specific. Queen and Slim.
Mm-hmm. And just really quickly before you continue, what was it about Queen and Slim? If you could,
it just wasn't good. It was just fake deep. It was too on the nose. It didn't make sense. It was beautiful. It was beautifully shot, but I was just like, "This is." It
didn't do it. Yeah,
this is dumb. I do not like what.
It's almost like it feels like, and it's like certain creators I don't really get. Like I don't get that same vibe from Issa Rae. I don't get it from certain. And I'm not saying that she's incapable of producing something that is mid, but I feel like. With
this season of Insecure, the last season of Insecure was
right
below mid.
Okay,
it wasn't. It was a snooze fest.
Gotcha.
I know. I would say that.
Okay, so that's an example. I think sometimes black people do something really well, and then white people throw money at them, and then they come the it person. So it's like you look at Jordan Peele or whatever with Get Out. So now it's like, oh, you're the horror guy that's going to put black people in movies. So every one of yours is going to hit like Get Out or something like that. And I haven't seen all of his movies like Us or whatever some of the other ones are. I saw Get Out, but I didn't see the other ones. But I've heard criticisms of them where it's just like, yeah, I don't really mess with that. And I know that you're black and I support you, but it's kind of like how when people describe Tyler Perry, every time people talk about Tyler Perry, they always say, yo, he put so many niggas on. And you be asking about the art, and that you can't dispute that. But you be asking about, yeah, but what about the art? Because I keep thinking about that clip. I don't watch the show Sisters, but I keep thinking about that clip where the two light-skinned dudes are fighting and they both got the Beijing in their hair, and the bigger light-skinned black dude, he smacks the smaller light-skinned black dude, and the light-skinned black dude twirls like this, and he falls to the ground.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But two light-skinned men fighting.
It looks mad. It looks mad Tyler Perry-ish because.
But he does what he does, and that's okay though. Like, he's consistent with it. Is he a master director, filmmaker, screenwriter? No, he's not.
Right, he's not.
But I don't expect that from him.
Right. And we're back. Devin Zoolander sitting here with the one and only Shanti Mayers. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been really cool sitting with you. Like, I feel like I'm talking to an old friend, you know what I'm saying? And you are as Philly as I thought.
For
you
real?
know what I'm saying? Yeah, you are. I'm getting it, you know, the way you say certain words, experiences, you're describing how defensive you are of your city.
Listen,
like, I really appreciate. What high school did you go to?
I went to many high schools. My high school experience was a bit dysfunctional. I went to Saul.
Okay.
I went to Chad, Charter High for Architecture and Design. Shout out to Quinta went to Chad.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to Kappa.
Got you.
So
is that right? Is that where you met Jasmine and?
That's where I met Antoinette, Jasmine, all them singing ass women.
Same group of pictures. Hey, girls trip. Right, I got you. All right. It's like damn, it's the same five. Yeah. It's like they tight like homies, that. You don't be seeing that. You be like, oh, they still cool. Oh, all right, cool. Because sometimes you be looking for. You be saying like, damn, they 3 out of 4 now. They 3 4.
No,
y'all tight. No, I respect
that.
Yeah.
Fantastic 5 over here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to be a part of your journey in podcasting and watching you set everything up. I see your dedication and all of the investment that you put into this, and I really like your energy, your confidence. You like here, you're present, you ain't scared. You give it's beautiful to watch. So thank you for letting me be a part of your journey.
No problem, and thank you for agreeing to be on the platform, and maybe one day down the line it'll be able to work out where even if I gotta go to New York, you know, where we can get the both of you together, because I feel like there are some things that Antoinette says that I have questions about. So it would be good to get her in. So the final thing I would like for you to just say before we move on before we close out the show is, where can people find you?
You can find us on all streaming platforms, Around the Way Curls. And our Instagram is Around the Way Curls as well. And that's it. That's it.
Well, this has been another episode of the Devin Zoolander Show with the one and only Shanti Mayers. And remember, stay moisturized and mind your business. All right, that's it.